All right. Hello, everyone. And today, August 1st, Monday, as usual, we are going to start our Dhamma and Dharma program. We are going to continue almost the same topic that we started last time. We were discussing about up to the Dhammacakka Sutta, and at the same time about the progress of Sangha community at the time of the Buddha. And today, we were originally planning to have this discussion as usual, like the last month. Venerable Sutadhara from the Dhamma side and Venerable Geshe Dharge from the Dharma side to answer and to ask questions on behalf of all the audience, me, Dhamma Loka, and Bhante Kamalasiri. Bhante Kamalasiri is not able to attend today. And so instead of him, for that we invited Venerable Suwan from Nepal, and he is going to join with us to conduct the program today. And here Venerable Dhammapiti from Los Angeles Buddhist Vihara and Mindfulness Meditation Center, Covina, Los Angeles, California. And Venerable Anila would conduct a meditation, and Venerable Dhammapiti would conduct paying homage to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. I welcome you all and all the audience on behalf of the United Sangha Council. And so I cordially invite Venerable Dhammapiti to conduct paying homage to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho buddhang vandami. Such indeed is the exalted one, the worthy one, the supremely enlightened one, endowed with knowledge and conduct, well gone, knower of the world, incomparable trainer of person to be tamed, teacher of gods and men, enlightened and exalted. Swakhato bhagavata dhammo dhammang namasami. The Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One, directly visible, immediately effective, inviting one to come and see, leading onwards to be personally experienced by the wise. Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho sanghang namasami. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing well. The order of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing rightly. The order of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the true way. The order of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing properly. That is, the four pair of persons, the 8 kind of individuals. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is worthy of gift, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutation, the supreme field of merit for the world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Venerable Dhammapithi. Now, Venerable Anila would conduct meditation.
So thank you. And as Geshe Darge mentioned at the very beginning, before we started, today we are celebrating in the Tibetan tradition the Buddha's first turning of the wheel of Dharma. So I thought for our meditation that we would focus on Shakyamuni Buddha's enlightened qualities. So just begin by sitting comfortably. And then setting our motivation for doing this short meditation, thinking that all of our efforts in studying and meditating, practicing the Dharma, all of this is not just for our own individual benefit, but for the benefit of infinite sentient beings in all of the 6 realms. Thinking that just as we wish to find happiness and to avoid pain and suffering, likewise, all sentient beings are just like us. And so as we begin the meditation, we think that seated around us are our friends and family, even those for whom we feel some hostility. In fact, all sentient beings are together with us in doing this meditation. And then think that Buddha Shakyamuni is in the space in front of us. His body is golden, made of light. He's seated on a large golden throne on cushions of a white lotus, sunlight, and the moon. So seated upon this beautiful throne is Shakyamuni Buddha. He's wearing the saffron-colored robes of a monk, sitting in the full lotus position. Palm of his right hand rests on his right knee, with his hand touching the cushion, signifying his great control over all varieties of delusions. His left hand in his lap cradles the alms bowl filled with nectar, representing the powerful medicine that can cure all of our afflictions. Buddha Shakyamuni's face is very, very beautiful and peaceful. And he smiles at you with eyes filled with love, compassion, genuine concern, and caring. So feel very strongly that you're in the presence of this majestic, enlightened being, held by his love and compassion. He who understands and accepts you and wishes only to bring you to nirvana and enlightenment. And think that from Buddha's body, from every pore were emanated countless tiny Buddhas that are sent forth to every corner of the universe, liberating beings, giving them whatever they need, and that they then return to Buddha Shakyamuni's body. And then develop a sincere sense of refuge in the Buddha, in the Buddha's enlightened body, speech, and mind. Thinking that by applying the Buddha's teachings in our daily lives, that we ourselves can also become enlightened in this very lifetime. And to make a sincere request to the Buddha for his teachings, for his assistance, and to be held and guided throughout not just this lifetime, but through all future lifetimes until we attain Buddhahood ourselves. And think that our request has been granted. The Buddha is so happy, delighted. And a stream of purifying, powerful white light then emanates from the Buddha and enters us to the crown of our heads. Think that we experience incredible bliss. And we recite the Buddha's mantra. Thaya Tao Mune Mune Maha Mune Song. 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 And think that the Buddha Shakyamuni, who's at the crown of our head, turns and faces in the same direction as you. And then focus on all of the sentient beings who have joined us, who are seated and gathered around us. I think that all of the Buddha's love and compassion then descends like a shower of nectar enters them and fulfills them, bringing them ever closer to the peace of nirvana, liberation, enlightenment. So they experience great bliss and wisdom. And finally, dissolve the visualization of the Buddha. You know, that all of the Buddhas love and compassion, all of the Buddha's wisdom, and comes together into a beautiful golden drop of nectar, which enters you again from the crown of your head and descends, filling your body. You experience great peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable Anila, for conducting meditation and starting the program by bringing calmness and peace into our hearts with the grace of the great qualities of the Buddha. Now, the chief two venerable monks from Dhamma or Pali tradition and Dharma Sanskrit tradition are here, Venerable Sutadhara and Venerable Geshe Dharge. So first I would invite both of them to start giving kind of introduction for the topic. So first I think Venerable Sutadhara would start by giving a kind of introduction.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. That when we discuss the topic, the story of the Buddha, and so far we achieved up to the Buddha's first main disciple communities. Today that we are going to go further how this Sangha was formed, and there when we look at it that from Theravada sources which are, well, when we read the biographies that are found about the early monks and early nuns, we find well, different numbers, and also in we find in the books such as Theragata, Therigata, which are the psalms by the monks, psalms by the nuns. There also we have different numbers. In those, at least there are during the time of the Buddha, there are prominent monks and nuns. But they had more monks and nuns under them, training or studying with them. That's the idea that we get from the early scriptures. Then the next part is that after the Buddha, there were different councils, Sangha councils. After 3 months after Buddha passed away, and also after the after 100 years, there were then so on. So that way, there was the second, after the second council, we find that there are the main split in the Sangha, community of monastic Sangha is found, that as Theriya and or Theravada and Mahasangika. Then split it into 4 main groups. Later we find in as Sarvastivada, those who got analytic and everything is there is everything is the word means Sarvasti means, but we don't have that many. I don't have that much explanation about it, but just the names. Then the Sammatiyas are the second, that they are the Pujjalavadin or the individualist. And then also the Mahasangikas, as I explained earlier, the first split that we find, those who were against the second council of the monks, and they didn't accept the Vinaya, mainly Vinaya issues, as early Theras accepted, and they grouped as a separate group. And then the Theravadins are generally explained as the people who followed the early Vinaya that is found in Pali scriptures. So that's my just general explanation about this. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Venerable Bhante Sutradhara. Venerable Geshe, please give a basic introduction, and we can then discuss.
Thank you, Bhante. So firstly, this special day regarding our lunar calendar. So I will special take homage to Buddha Shakyamuni. So Tathagata Arhat Sammayasam Buddha. So excellent, guided, glorious, skillful, and profound teaching, open-minded, compassionate one, that I'm taking homage to you. So, yeah, same time, as we are all followers to Buddha, and I remember when I was in Sri Lanka, at the one day I went to Shiripata, right? And then at top of there, it almost meet a very late night, the one Sangha group came. And then also they're asking, we have a few friends with the Tibetan monks, and they're asking us join with them, that we circumambulated all this place, and we come together, do some kind of prayer and confessions. And at that time, each monks are asking, who is the first to Bhikshu, who is the senior? Then we keep each sharing when we took the vows. And finally found out I'm the most senior one at the time. And they all comes and put me first. And then we do prayer together, and we confessions, and then go one by one like this. This I feel very respectful and harmonious, our Sangha group. So it's remember, this is very touched to my heart, how they are respect to all Sangha as equal, and then the respect to senior, no matter what country and what culture, and they accept the senior as seniors. So wonderful, and that's I just take this opportunity to share this, because this is I remember it right now. So today, from Mahayana perspective, to how Sangha began, the Mahayana Sangha began, and the increases or flourish. So the Mahayana Sangha began at the Buddha's time, And at the time, not really use the term Mahayana. It's the most that you can look at the Paramita text, you can find that say Bodhisattvayana. So Bodhisattvayana and Sharvakayana, that's we found it in our text, in many Panchaparamita texts. So, and Bodhisattvayana at the beginning, at the Buddha time, and then how increases how established monastery and how community began, it's a way later, it's way late. So even Ashoka time, the Bodhisattvayana or Mahayana, it's not that much exist there. So actually, in our historically saying, when Nagarjuna came to this earth, and then Nagarjuna bring back all those Bodhisattvayana's texts to our earth and is restarted. And after that, Asanga also came and then bring another type of Mahayanas or Bodhisattvayana's text, and then also the restarted Chidamatara tenet stam, and then Nagarjuna restart that Madhya Mega tenet school, and then both are together started with the Bodhisattvayana Sangha community, but still at the time not really don't have a monastic and Sangha member at the 2nd century, or between 2nd century or like and 1st century. So, and then after, Nagarjuna, and then the most well-known monastic university is Nalanda. Nalanda is the monastic university. This is how began the community, Bodhisattvayana community or Mahayana community began there. And then it's more flourished to the south. And then south of India, there's more from central India, Nalanda increase to the South India. Then it goes to the China, and it goes to also Tibet, and it goes to Mongolia and Japan. And that's how increases the Mahayana. But it's way later it began that community. And today, the Bodhisattvayana monastery in Tibet, and we have a very large number. We have many monastery, and each monastery has 4,000 monks, 5,000 monks who are very not only meditate, study very well about all tenet school. So this is briefly, I can say, how Mahayana began and flourished in this earth.
Thank you very much, Venerable Geshe. Now I invite Venerable Suvarna from Nepal to inquire some questions on behalf of all the members of Sangha over here, and also on behalf of all the audience.
Thank you, Venerable Sirs, for giving me opportunity to anchoring this program. Yes, as Bhante Dhammaloka acknowledged me, what kind of questions we should ask. So according to him, I would like to question that how the monastic leadership has led to flourish the Sangha. According to Pali traditions, we found that these 80 great monks and nuns, as called Asura Mahasravakas, they were appointed by the Buddha depending on their qualities. So, for example, Arahant Sariputta was the greatest, excellent in clarification, explanation, and Bhikkhuni Dhammadimma is one of them.
So all those 80 monks, the great 80 monks and nuns were appointed based on their leadership qualities. And this kind of leadership led to the development of Sangha. And also in very first Sanghayana council, Venerable Mahakashyapa, who lead the council. So I would like to know from both the Pali tradition and Sanskrit tradition how this leadership flourished our Sangha community.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
Well, actually that when you look at that the 80 great disciples, we don't find that much of evidence of that number 80. When you go into the Anguttara Nikaya Etadagga Pali, you don't find that 80 monks there. But I am not telling that it's wrong or anything. But there are other references that will supplement some of those that I want to bring into that discussion. When in the Pali tradition, always earliest references that we find about the monks, well, the disciple groups of each Buddha. We find earliest explanation in Mahapadana Sutta in Digha Nikaya. It is basically the Vipassi Buddhas during the time of the Vipassi Buddha, how his it's more like the historical like biography of Vipassi Buddha. But then later when it came to the Gautama Buddha, it's the only mention about it is that about the disciple community. It is about the Uruvela Kashyapa, Nadi Kashyapa, Gaya Kashyapa, three brothers who brought 1,250 disciples. So that's the main kind of assembly of the disciples that we find in early text. But well, nevertheless, but when we go into Theragatha and Therigatha, we find that Theras at least well, if we get a better count that there are 264 Theragathas, but even within that. We will, well, when we go into the commentary, we find 400 and also 559 monks. They are the prominent monks. I am not telling that only Buddha had only these the disciples, but they always actually taught so many hundreds of other monks and nuns. When we go into the nuns, that the first nun who came to the Buddha was his own mother, who brought him up as a prince, that Mahaprajapati Gautami. She came and she was she got the ordination well after a great protest, right? So then from that on, she came with 500 other Shakyan women. Then when you go into the Therigatha, the Psalms of the nuns, there we find at least according to the commentaries, we find 600 prominent theories, just to separate this idea. Then also we find that even in that when we look at those the Therigathas, that the individual as individuals, but there is a very interesting Therigatha. There is the set of gathas or the psalms by 500 nuns. So 500 nuns, maybe repeating the same stanzas that formed the how they got liberated and what kind of spiritual bliss, spiritual rapture that they had because of their inner progress following the Buddha's teachings. So these are the and also very interestingly that when you go into the Theravada, there are at least 3 monks who were not during the Buddha's time. We find that the Tekichakani and Vitasoka Ekaviharika, well, the 2 of them were the brothers of Dharmashoka, King Dharmashoka, and then the one was another time. But well, these are the records. I'm just quoting this from the Theravada text. So that means in general, there were like at maybe when we look at the early, early 45 years of Buddha's mission, that after 45 years that he passed away, at least he accompanied around 500 monks, probably, and around 500 nuns. Just those numbers, and don't take it literally. Those are means large groups of monks and nuns. So that's what I can really tell you about this the Buddha's 80 disciples.
Thank you very much, Venerable Geshe.
Okay, so in our most of Sangha member, it's regarding more like Pali traditions, Sangha members growing at the time, with the time or later with the time. So in our Vinaya text, special Vinaya text called Lung Tenzig in Tibetan term, translated as a manner scripture. This is one of the Vinaya texts. Talks about more that 18 school of Vivasaka, how split it and how began it. This is how we talk about the Sangha member growth. We not really talk that much number, like a 80 number, a special, maybe in my habit, I didn't see all the text. And then so sometime each sutra at the beginning saying each how many numbers disciple there at the time when we teach. So most of them is what translated in Tibetan is Mahayana text. And then all the Vinaya text also talks about that at the beginning, how many disciple there include Ananda and Shariputra, Mangalputra, all this. So, but many different number I saw it, but I didn't see that 80 number like things there in our translation in the Tibetan. So, but very much emphasizedly talks about that 18 school of Vivasaka, how it began and how split it. At most of the time is after Ashoka. And Buddha time, not really that much have a problem. And not, even like a Sangha member is only in central India, not another state, not another part there. So that's the time, Buddha time. And then I forget to tell one thing, how Mahayana Sangha, one story saying is Mahasangika is continuing. The Mahayana comes from Mahasangika, continues from there to edit more the practice and textbook. That's one way to say it. That's I forgot to mention it, yeah.
And Venerable Geshe, I have a little question regarding Mahasangika. You mean that after second Dhamma Council, from that time onwards, Mahasangika, is that you mean?
Yeah, Mahasangika, it's after second Dhamma Council, it's happening. All these 18 classes happened that. So Mahasangika is one of the root school, yeah.
Yeah, that means that happened after according to Theravada Buddhist history, it took place 100 years after the death of the Buddha.
And also they found many Mahayana teachings in the Mahasanghika Tripitikas regarding their talks about 10 bhumis, that's all talks it. So that's found it, and it's also sometime in the Mahasanghika talks about some mantra. They also found it in Mahasanghika Tripitikas. So therefore, many scholars saying that it's split from there, but we're saying after Nagarjuna came and then established this two kind of story. Yeah, I'm not really the great historical. This is not the. I'm not familiar with it that much. So.
Okay, so that you think that Sanskrit tradition started at that time with Mahasanghika or afterwards?
I think a little bit both. The Mahasanghika continues, and some of the Mahasanghika practitioner might be start to recite that or Paranjaparamita text. And then when Nagarjuna comes, and that Paranjaparamita text maybe write a lot of commentary on it, and then explanation a lot. This is how I think it's flourish. That's a little bit from Mahasanghika and more from Nagarjuna and Asanga. That's how I thought it.
Okay.
And also, yeah, sorry. So within this 18 school, except one or two school not talks about that three the practitioner, Sarvagayana, Sarvaga Buddha, Partika Buddha, and Buddha, the complete Buddha ones. So that not really talks about that. But most of 18 school talks that three practitioner, Sarvaga Buddha, Partika Buddha, and Buddha. So that talks that. So, and then I have one question from Mahayana perspective to Theravada. How you can define these three different Buddha, Sarvaga Buddha, Partika Buddha, and Buddha, how you can make different these three by practice?
Venerable Sutadhara would answer it.
Yeah, the word, can you say it again?
Sarvaga Buddha.
Sammasam. Yeah, he means like Buddhu, Pasaya Buddhu, Maharahat. Those three.
Okay. Oh, Savaka Buddha and
Pacheka Buddha and Sammasam Buddha.
Sammasam Bodhisattvas Buddha. Yeah.
Well, okay, that actually it's this very important categorization about based upon the how each one attain enlightenment, and also how much they are capable of teaching what they realized. Samma Sambuddha, we take that the one who spent the all so many innumerable lifetimes with the great aspiration to become the Buddha, and he goes forward and go in search of what is kusala, what is wholesome, and finally attains enlightenment. And then he is capable of teaching what he realized, and then he is capable of giving enough instructions for the disciples to attain enlightenment. This enlightenment level has no difference. Enlightenment means that they are fully enlightened, their rebirth is stopped. Then the Samma Sambuddha is one who realized everything, all groundwork had been done by himself, and finally attained enlightenment. Then and also he is capable of teaching. The second category, it's this, well, previous lifetimes they made that vow and aspiration, then they accumulate all the wholesome training towards this attainment, but their realization of enlightenment is slightly different from what the Samma Sambuddha followed. That when you look at Samma Sambuddha, we can just taking the Gautama Buddha after his great renunciation, after practicing with others, finally he would find out, actually do all those austerities, and then finally he gives up all the austerities that are that are not really leading into anywhere. And then finally he would go and attain first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, and then 3 special great knowledges, that the recollection of the past, and also the birth and death of all the other beings, and then the complete destruction of all defilements. Those are the 3. That's the path of the complete Samma Sambuddha, or the what we called who we call the great enlightened being. Then the Pratyeka Buddha, as we say, Pacceka Buddha in Pali, the one they also the training they get in the previous lifetimes, but finally what they actually their enlightenment moment is different. It can be inspired by a very maybe for another person it is very insignificant event, just like well, this person sees maybe leaves falling from the trees, and then in all of a sudden he could expand that experience into, okay, everything is impermanent, and everything seen or everything formed or anything, any concepts are also impermanent. And then at that moment, within few minutes or maybe within a longer time probably, they realize that the enlightenment, and then they are fully enlightened. According to the tradition, it says that they cannot explain their experience and make others understand the teachings, and then follow, and then practice, and then attain enlightenment. So they are generally translated as silent Buddhas, and that's the second category. Third one, Savaka Buddha, as Venerable Geshe said, that they are the disciples, the regular disciples. They come to the Buddha and listen to the Buddha, and they after listening, they may realize the Dhamma at the moment, after listening to the Buddha, or maybe they ordain and then continue to practice and attain enlightenment. They have to get it from someone else. That is, someone else means that originally it has to come from the fully enlightened Buddha, and then the other, that is how, that's the difference of these 3.
Even the same path?
Yeah, same path. Enlightenment is complete, but the source that they get it is different.
Oh, same path brings you different result. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. So very nice explanation. And just to add a little bit, it says like when they fulfill 10 perfections to become the fully enlightened the Buddha, they would complete those paramitas and 10 perfections according to Theravada tradition, like in 3 ways each, like dana, in three ways they would practice, like regular material things giving, like maybe money, vehicles, food, and like that. And then higher than that, not only the material outside items, but also physical parts maybe blood donation, skin, organs, and the like. Then the third highest thing is giving up all the life for the benefit of others, entire life, entire body. In this way, the ones whose aspiration is to become the fully enlightened, the Buddha, they would have to fulfill the paramitas in 3 ways, even sacrificing their own life eventually. But the Pacceka Buddhas, they would have to go through only the first and second stages, material things and the body parts, not entire life, not necessary. And the Shravakas, they would be, good enough to attain enlightenment just by practicing the first stage, giving material things. Then they are capable enough, their background is good enough for the attainment of Nibbana. So in that way, and also as Venerable Susadhara said, the Samma Sambuddha only would be able to verbalize his experience of enlightenment. Other two are not so. But the scholar disciples would be able, but that also following the teaching of the Samma Sambuddha only, not his own experience, would be able to explain enough so that the followers would be able to attain enlightenment. And thank you very much. Again, I think Venerable Anila also here, and other, I can see other friends also. Shall we give chance for them to ask questions if they have now, and then we can continue.
Sure.
Please, yeah.
Oh, I would love to learn a little bit more about the tradition of the nuns, in their Sangha communities, even just in general, how I know very little about it. In the respective in the Pali and Sanskrit traditions, just a little bit more about the nuns, how they lived together, and who taught them. And
This time, I think we can give the priority to Sanskrit tradition.
Okay, so how began nun? We don't have any different. As the first one is the Buddha's the mother, right? Who Ananda very much strongly recurs to Buddha to give the vows, and Buddha postponing. Then finally Buddha accept to give vows with what called 8 separate vows. Before they give the Bhikshuni vows, the Buddha give us 8 with a few different vows. I don't know how to call in Sanskrit. So, but the first with a Chivichurge, it's a 8 type of kind of like a tasting or examinations, how can take it. And then after that 2 years, 1 vows. And then after that, 9 vows, and after the Bhikshuni vows. This is how first time Buddha begins to Bhikshuni vows. And then how it increases, how it flourishes, that I don't know that much about the story. And regarding Tibetan, we don't have any Bhikshuni vows so far. And then many of them are also arguing to talk about that women right, and then women and men are equal. But yeah, we can we are answering here. If we found in Buddha Vinaya text that we allow to give to Bhikshuni vows, definitely we will give it, because the vows only have authored by Buddha, no one else. So, and if we found in Vinaya text, we can give it. If we not found in Vinaya text, then we will not give it, because we don't have authority to give that vows. So anyhow, so far, recently I heard that in Bhutan, that giving Bhikshuni vows the tradition is not really comes from the other lineages. It's still saying Mahasaravatin's lineage. So if the Mahasaravatin lineage, it should be the same, the Tibetan lineages, but we are not founding exactly text, and we are not joking, or we're not playing with the like Buddha's tradition and Buddha system. So we have to take really, really serious. And then, but enlightenment is equal for everyone. And then as well as like a degree name, Geshe Ma or Geshe Pa, it's equal for everyone. But the vows is too different. So therefore, I don't think Sri Lankan also that much established that Bhikshuni vows in there, right?
Now my turn, right?
Yeah.
Well, the when you look at actually if I go into the history of the Buddhism, that we all accept that how it the nuns ordination originated, and then I have to I am just trying to read this what information that is found in the text, that you know at the whole time that the best explanation about that the monks should like every month or every 2 weeks a monk should go and give a Dhamma talk or advise the nuns to have a practice, how to practice. The best explanation I find about it is that Nandako Vada Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. There's a Venerable Nandaka was very reluctant to go and advise the nuns, but the Buddha had to persuade him to go and give the advice, and then that Nandako Vada, itself a very nice explanation about how someone practice until attaining the enlightenment. That's a very, very nice explanation. But after that, when we go into until during the time when Buddha passed away, and all the records are not very clear about that what happened, that even what role nuns played during the Buddha's funeral, or right after, then when monks were organizing the Dhamma, and then the having the council, the none we don't hear anything about nuns, but in Pali text we find both Bhikkhu Vinaya and Bhikshuni Vinaya, or Ubato Vibhanga, and we find that means the monks got together and with no nun, they just discuss the nuns Vinaya too. So that's one thing early we find out. And later on, we find the nuns in Mahayana tradition, that the famous Devasara, the one who later we find that in history there were nuns in Sri Lanka, and then Devasara Bhikkhuni actually went to China and ordained females. But in the earliest time of when Buddhism was officially introduced to Sri Lanka, we find the story of Sanghamitta. The Venerable Sanghamitta was invited to ordain female disciples, mainly the female members of the royal family, right? Then, then how it was, how that was the way that it was developed. And then we find that the great chronicles in Sri Lanka, that the great chronicle called Mahavansa, and then Deepavansa chronicle of the island. Then we give authorship, the great chronicle, to the monk Mahanama. Then the tradition always gives the authorship to the chronicle of the island, that is the Sri Lanka, that's to the nuns. So those are found here and there in this the history. But when we look at that, after that, then there was this debate between well, the monks that in Sri Lanka, traditionally the main monastic centers, they don't accept the nuns ordination. And in early 90s, a group of monks and just one chapter of one main monastic sect, well, they accepted the nuns ordination, and then they organized nuns ordination with the help of Korean nuns. Then now it has been there, and then it is growing. But well, we always well understand that there are a lot of things that we should do to bring together and organize this, especially the education of nuns. So that's the current situation as far as I see.
Thank you, both venerables.
Thank you.
And Venerable Geshe, Venerable Sutradhara mentioned about earlier about Theri Gathas. Do you have any idea in Mahayana tradition also about that Theri Gatha?
So maybe better the Pali language. I don't understand Tirigata.
That's called the Sons of Nuns. It says something like the nuns who have attained enlightenment or who were about to attain enlightenment to express their relaxation, their happiness, their inner peace. They have uttered certain songs or poems or gathas. Those are called Theri Gathas. Through that, we can get a lot of information about the situation at the time of the Buddha for the female in generally, as well as most importantly of the nuns. Is there any Mahayana?
Oh,
text
sorry,
for-
then I really not really familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Venerable Suwan.
Bhante, sorry, I have disturbed a little bit about that. Lamaji Dosa is very close to Milarepa's songs, but those songs come from the original bhikkhuni or nuns from the nuns who lived during the Buddha's period.
No, not really. So we making like a Buddha's his own teaching, like a 12 category. The 12, once we make the 12 categories, the one category is all this, the spirit song gathas are. But I didn't see, I don't know about that Bhikshuni have those.
Okay. And Venerable Suvarna might know if you know anything about that.
You mean Bhante, the Bhikkhuni order?
Or about Theri Gathas in any other tradition other than Theravada?
I also haven't found any sources similar to Therigatha. Maybe maybe there are or vanished away. Yeah, because we see our Buddha Sasana Sangha order went through a lot of turbulence in the history, a lot of political turbulence and natural turbulence. So I would like to ask from both the tradition, what made Bhikkhuni order vanish away from both tradition? For example, in Sri Lanka, we went through a lot of political, there was a lot of political challenges, like Chola Pandyas was attacking from South India, and also a lot of drought and natural disaster was happening. And so what's the exact reason made the Bhikkhuni order vanish away from the surface of this Indian subcontinent and preserve somewhere in the northern part of Asia?
Well, if I answer that question, that this is how I look at it, that as Venerable Suanna mentioned, that there is no just one single cause for it. What you mentioned are also the really contributed to the disappearance of the monastic nuns. And another one, theoretically, when you look at Vinaya, that to ordain a person, that means give 10 precepts or Samanera precepts, you don't need the assembly of both the fully ordained monks and nuns. But for the higher ordination or upasampada, you need both for the ordination, full ordination of nuns. There should be both the monastic males and monastic females. Then slowly this the monastic female tradition went down due to all those reasons, and also maybe when I look at the first Buddhist council, look at the accusations leveled against Venerable Ananda, right after the Buddha's passing away, that why he allowed the women to worship the Buddha after the passing away, and Venerable Ananda allowed them to pay homage or give respect to the Buddha. And then also why he persuaded the Buddha to ordain nuns. All sorts of things gives some form of like background for us. This even though it's a tradition always controlled by men, basically. Because of that, you may not find the women having that independence to continue. Well, if there is something like, okay, when you look at history, that venerable monks, when they see, okay, there are no even for the full ordination for monks, then you need at least 5 fully ordained monks. Well, history says that every time there was one monk who saw this problem, and then he would actually go to a king or get the support of king, and then go to maybe Burma or Thailand, then invite monks or fully ordained monks to establish this Sangha again. And the same thing we find that even well, from Sri Lanka to taking some Sri Lankan monks to Burma and also Thailand. So this continued because always it was easier to communicate. There is a direct line of communication between monks and the royal family, right? Then, that later in 19th century, we find there is no government or no royal influence but from Sri Lankan side, but always there's more rich devotees helped monks to go to Burma or Thailand, especially to Burma, and then got the support of the king as well as the monks. So that means that gives some kind of like well, we can see that the nuns well, if there are only 3 nuns, nobody cared or nobody, well, they probably asked the monks to do something, but they were not listening to them. So that can be the reason. But interestingly, Bhikkhuni Devasara was taken with other nuns to China to establish nuns ordination. So that's what I can say historically. I am not a historian, but just the information that I find in the books. Well, I just make my conclusions out of those what I have read.
Thank
Oh,
you very
thank you,
much.
Bhante, yeah.
Sandeep.
So I think that's a very important question which
Mm.
Bhante Suwana asked it. So
Mhm.
I have the same question as a long time, and
Mm.
I'm looking answer for many different the book, many different friends. So far, I really do not found the clear answer for that.
Mhm.
We can assume it. We can just we can assembly say many things, many possibility there, but which really we don't know. But this is question also. I did not see who really research on that particular topic to finding out the historically what is the how happening. I did not see that research particularly on it. So it's important if someone can do that, right? So very important. So that's they know we will have a continuing that Victionary vows or not, right? So otherwise, Bhikshuni vows is much, much more than the Bhikshu vows, right? And also the order to take. A few words I just couldn't say last time when I mentioned it. In order to take the bhikshus first take like the novice vow, and directly they can take the bhikshu vows, right? But when Buddha gave to bhikshuni vows to the female, first they take like 8 voti restrictions, we call it guru dharma. So 8 weighty restrictions, that's for examinations. And after that 2 years they're giving siksamana, right? Siksamana, which is like a probationary novice nun before they give it after novice nun, novice vows, and then before they give the bhikshuni vows, they give this kind of vows also. Then finally giving bhikshuni vows, and it has so many vows that you have to commit it. So and then it could be that nuns not really said that it's a lot of vows there, right? Anyhow, but how we engage it, it's important question. I don't know answer for that, because still it's questioning for me.
Yeah, thank you, Venerable. And I think that so many vows itself would be the one of the causes to end Bhikkhuni order itself, or to make it weak, because even in the history we can see in generally when invaders and other problems are there, even monks were not able to stand against all the time and throughout all the history. From some time to time, they have to reconnect the order. Like in Sri Lanka also, it was so weak, monks, Vinaya and other things. So they had to reconnect again from with Burma and Thailand, and to establish monks' ordination. I think it would be even harder for the women's ordination and nunshood. One reason, anyway, socially they have bigger challenges, and also plus to that they have extra many vows than monks, and it's not that easy to maintain when even social situation is also not that peaceful in the society. And that would be one of the reasons, I guess so. So I think if any other question from the audience, that we have about 10-15 minutes more.
Bhante, thank you so much, both of you venerables, for sharing the valuable the facts on the how Buddhism, how Bhikkhuni order vanish away. I just upload the link and the PDF file. This is the book written by Bhikkhu Analayo. It's called The Controversy on Bhikkhuni Ordination. So if any of you are interested in how Bhikkhuni order was restored in Sri Lanka, and what are the technical issues the monastic order faced to restore this Bhikkhuni ordination. So Bhikkhu Analayo has done a research based on all the texts, and is there any technical authorization to reveal the Bhikkhuni order or not? Yes or no? So those kind of exploration, academic exploration was done by Bhikkhu Analayo. So this is a book. It's written in 4 different languages, I think more than 4, and now you can find the internet. So you can, for further studies, you can find this book is very helpful to understand.
It will be good if you can send us like a name of that book.
Yeah, but I just upload the PDF file to this group.
Oh, there's the same book?
Yeah, same book, but
Oh,
only the English version. This one is the or in 3 languages: English, Sinhala, Thai, and Myanmar.
Oh, okay. That PDF I already downloaded. So yeah, and I think also we have a different lineages, right? The
Yes.
Tibetan, one thing is that Tibetan, we do not have a, I cannot representative all Tibetan that what I'm talking here, but my knowledge, we Tibetan do not have any bhikshuni in way beginning. So, and also we are following the lineage that Mulasaravasti's, right? Mulasaravasti's. And then China has a different, and then Sri Lankan has a different lineages. So each different lineages has a little bit different system to giving vows and taking vows. Yeah. So I think say Mulasaravasti's really don't have a clear that to can give anyhow, right? So can give bhikshuni vows.
So, Venerable Geshe, do you have any idea about Mahayana Bhikshuni's history where related to Buddha's time or afterwards, according to Mahayana point of view?
I don't know bhikshuni, but the female, Mahayana female practitioner, there are a lot who attend the enlightenment in a female form. So that's we accepted, but really I'm not clear with the bhikshuni Mahayana, yeah. And the Tibetan, as I said, we don't have it that, but still it's not represented all Tibetan. That's based on my knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, now I think better we go to some other question from the audience. It would be good. If not, Venerable Suwarno would ask something else.
Otherwise, I have one question. I'm waiting the audience of Suwarno if they don't
Yes,
have.
Bhante, please.
Yes,
Yes, Guru. Yes.
okay. So any audience have a question or not? Okay, then I go back to this 3 practitioner. So we say the Patika Buddha and Sarvaga Buddha is the disciple of Samyasambuddha. And then the Samyasambuddha was disciple or not? That's my question. If so, then within 8 Buddha, the first Buddha is disciple of whom? Regarding Theravadas tradition.
You mean the
Buddha was learned from someone else or not before Buddha enlightened?
No, actually the Theravada tradition always and is given that the whole story that each birth that the potential Buddha is having is a the progression from the level that he was in, and then every lifetime he will progress on his paramita, and then finally he comes to attain enlightenment. But there must be the declaration by an earlier Buddha to this is the earliest story. Sorry, coming back to this earliest story that we find is that when the Gautama Buddha was ascetic Sumedha, and then when he met the Dipankara Buddha, then he wanted to be a Buddha in a future lifetime, and that is why he just prostrated the Buddha on the muddy road, and then the Dipankara Buddha declared that he was going to be the Buddha. That declaration, we find that in the commentaries that the Buddha, Gautama Buddha was getting that from either 23 or 27 Buddhas. So that's then that. Other than that, the teachings were not like. Well, of course, that when we look at the last Kashyapa Buddha, whom Gautama Buddha met as the young Jyotipala, actually once he met the Buddha, then he became a monk. Then of course that story gives us the idea that he practiced under the Buddha. So that's a very good example, I think. Other than that, there is no story that says that okay, if you are a potential Buddha or the Bodhisattva, that you should get the teachings from an early Buddha.
Yeah, it looks like that because all paths are same, right?
Yeah.
And then if so, the within 27 or the 8 Buddha, which is first Buddha, is received teaching from whom? That's I'm concerning.
Actually, as Bhante Sutra said, there is possibility for the Bodhisattvas to have teachers. But for the Buddha, in his final life, like the great Bodhisattva in the final life, for attainment of the Buddhahood, maybe some other subjects, but for the attainment of the Buddhahood, there wouldn't be any teacher. The Buddha himself says, Name Acharyo Atti, I do not have a teacher, I do not have a master. Sadiso mena vijjati, there is not even a single person who is equal to me. Sadeva kasmin lokasmin name appati puggalo. There is no one in this universe, including humans and divine beings, equal to me. So maybe for the other subjects, even in the final birth, and the previous births may be, but final birth to attain the enlightenment, fully enlightenment, the Buddha did not have any teacher. He himself said that.
All this path he practiced was he learned before.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, to add that actually all these he learned before, but in the present lifetime, he got some. Okay, when you go into the present, well, Gautama Buddha's like as Prince Siddhartha and then becoming ascetic, he went to different teachers, but he got some training under them, but their focus was different. But the ascetic Siddhartha's goal wasn't the goal that those teachers had, but their practice was helpful to ascetic Siddhartha. And he took that part and he went forward, and he did his own experiments, and then only he could attain enlightenment. It is not telling that there is no teacher. He got the training from a teacher, but teacher's goal was something else. But the path was helping the ascetic Siddhartha to go forward few steps to achieve his own goal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also even as the Bodhisattva, when Sumedha, he was even at that point, he was someone with kind of psychic powers also. It says that he himself contemplated about what would be the vows for the Bodhisattva to be. So not necessary for any person to give instructions on it. I think even in the where in Bodhicharyavatara in Mahavira tradition, it says, "Anda sankhara kutebhyo yatharatna mavapniyat tatha katampi dat petat bodhicitta mamoditam." As a blind person would seek for in the trash can, a mass of trash, found a jewel. Just like that, I found this bodhicitta. So that's something very rare to happen because of one's own great power of merits. From that point onwards, when the bodhicitta is there, and not necessary to have a teacher to guide for the enlightenment of the Buddhahood.
Thank you so much. The last one is, as you mentioned, bodhicitta. Sarvaga Buddha and Pratyeka Buddha is not practicing bodhicitta, right?
Literally, bodhicitta means the mindset towards enlightenment. So in these three ways, you can set your mind towards enlightenment. In that sense, yes. Otherwise, with the Buddhahood, no.
Oh, the Sarvaga Buddha and Pratyeka Buddha both practice bodhicitta.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as their aim is to become Sravaka Buddha or Pratyeka Buddha, then they are,
Okay, thank you so much. So we still need to go more discussion on it. So thank you so much.
So I think Venerable Sutradhara can conclude from your side for the day.
I think with this the whole session, what we gathered was that in both traditions, how this developed actually, and what are missing parts of it. So that's the main the idea that I can share with you, that I see. And then, but also we could bring all whatever is available in literary sources and also in our present day experience. So both, I think that gives more opportunity for us to grow. So for that, I think I'm very grateful to all of you, regardless of who ask questions or who just listen to those, and also who contributed asking questions and also sharing everything. So thank you very much.
Venerable Geshe, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. As Bandhisudhara said, I don't have to say more special, but today's class, we touched on many important things. Even we are not concluded, it's very important. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Venerable Suvanna, please make any comment.
Thank you so much, Venerable Alls, for sharing your very valuable understanding regarding all those historical issues and of development of the Sangha order and also the Bhikkhuni order. So although we don't agree what we say sometimes historically, but there is always space for disagree. And so we are open to each other to understand what is the differences, what is the similarities between these two great traditions. So it's really beautiful to discuss the diversity, the historical evidence, and what's the present conditions right now, and how this past and present will help to flourish the future development of our Sangha order. So thank you very much for all of you for contribution today's session. I wish you all good health, and may you all able to reach the goal of enlightenment from your own way. Thank you so much.
It's all credit go to the Pandit Dhammaloka. We're having this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone. I agree with you all, and I share you and the good thoughts that you shared with us. Thank you very much, everyone. Venerable Suwan is a well-educated young man. He's almost like all-rounder. Studied in Sri Lanka. He speaks fluent Sinhala language, English, and Nepali, and Hindi also. And also he's well educated in many ways. So he would be one of our main has been
Analyst.
members. Like almost like I would suggest him to, I would invite him to be like a coordinator or someone in our United Sangha Council group. So we can get benefited out of his skills.
Thank you very much. Still, I'm a student. I'm learning from each other. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And thank you, everyone, Venerable Anila, and as well as Venerable Kamalsiri. I heard from him for half a minute or so, but afterwards, I do not know if he's still here, and other friends over here. Thank you, everyone, and see you all again next month, first Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And thank you. May all the blessings be with you. May the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha blessings be with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Thank you for joining with us, Bande, Swana.
Thank you so much. I learned so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
See you again.